The strip mall on Salem Avenue in Dayton has a vape shop on one end and a tax preparation office on the other that is only open 4 months a year and spends the remaining 8 looking abandoned in a way that somehow doesn't hurt the parking lot's credibility. In the middle, between a closed alterations shop and a nail salon that has been there since 1994 and will outlast everything around it, is a laundromat called Roy's Wash and Dry. The sign is yellow. The R in Roy's has been slightly dimmer than the other letters for at least 3 years based on the sun fade pattern on the brick behind it. Inside, through the plate glass window, you can see 2 rows of machines facing each other like a conversation that has been going on a very long time. A woman is folding a fitted sheet with the practiced, slightly resigned technique of someone who has accepted that fitted sheets will never fold cleanly and has decided to fold them anyway. A child is sitting on the bench near the door eating a bag of chips with total commitment. Roy Dillard is 67. He is sitting across from you in a booth at a Bob Evans 2 blocks away because he said he didn't want to have this conversation in the laundromat in case any of his regulars came in and asked questions. His back has been bad since March. His wife, Caroline, has been sending him real estate listings for Scottsdale since April. He is wearing a short-sleeve button-down and a plaid that suggests a man who has not bought new clothing in some years but takes care of what he has. His coffee is black. He ordered it before you arrived. He has been here a while. He tells you about the machines, which ones are reliable, which one, the third from the left in the back row, has a particular hesitation at the start of the spin cycle that is not a problem yet but will need attention. He tells you about the water heater replaced in 2019. He tells you about Mrs. Alcott, who comes every Thursday at 10 a.m. with 2 laundry bags and exact change and has done so without interruption for 11 years. He tells you about Sandra. Sandra Briggs, 46, has managed the floor for 9 years, worked a dry cleaner for 12 years before that, knows everything worth knowing. He says this twice, everything worth knowing. You ask him one question, the same question you always ask. What's the real reason you're selling now? He looks at the table for a moment. Then he says, Caroline's had enough of Ohio winters. And I've had enough of arguing with Caroline about Ohio winters. He picks up his coffee, he drinks it, he sets it down. That's honest, you say. He says, I've been honest my whole life. Don't see a reason to change it at 67. You believe him. You've sat across from enough sellers to know the ones who are still performing and the ones who have arrived at the far side of performance and are just talking. Roy has arrived at the far side. He is just talking. There's a particular quality of attention that comes from sitting across from someone like that. Like the room gets quieter, like the information is actually landing instead of passing through. You ask for the books. This part of the story is not glamorous, and it was never going to be glamorous. That is the prerequisite. If glamour is the requirement, the door to this is closed, and the door will stay closed, and Roy will find someone else to sell to, probably for less money, and the machines will keep running and misses. Alcott will keep coming on Thursdays with exact change, and you will have missed something that doesn't announce itself. You are 34. You have been buying small, unglamorous things since you were 28. A parking space in a lot of Fifth Avenue that the city was selling through a tax delinquency process you found by reading municipal filings on a laptop at your kitchen table on a Wednesday night while the rest of your apartment complex was watching whatever everyone was watching that year. The parking space costs $9,400 and makes $640 a month, and you have replaced one piece of signage in 5 years. Your accountant says it is the most efficient asset on your books. She says it the way a person says something when it is so consistently true that it has become mildly annoying. After the parking space, there was a coin-operated copier route in 4 office buildings. After the copier route, there was a small ATM fleet, 7 machines, convenience stores, and small hotels, $3.50 per transaction, replenished on a schedule so boring it becomes almost meditative. After the ATMs, there was a storage unit pod, not a facility, one pod. In a shared facility, you own the pod, you rent the pod. The pod makes $290 a month and has for 3 years. You have never seen the inside of it. These are the assets on your balance sheet. The parking space, the copiers, the ATMs, the pod, a small stake in a commercial property your college roommates' real estate group syndicates, A brokerage account that looks like the work of a person who read 4 books about index funds and did exactly what the books said and kept doing it for 6 years without looking for a reason to stop? Net worth at the start of this, $340,000. Not impressive as a headline, substantial as a foundation. You know the difference. You've been building on the foundation long enough to understand that the headline was never the point. The books on Roy's Laundromat are the books of a man who has been running a cash business since 1987 and has the relationship with record keeping that implies. They are not fraudulent. They are not concealed. They are handwritten in a ledger that Roy keeps under the counter and updates on Friday afternoons with a ballpoint pen in the same handwriting he's had since the 7th grade. The ledger is complete. It is just analog in a way that requires translation. You spend 11 days translating? Revenue $144,000 a year, mostly quarters for the older machines, increasingly card readers on the newer ones. Sandra's salary, $31,200. Utilities, $22,400, which is high because 2 of the machines are inefficient and Roy has not yet replaced them because the efficient ones cost $1,800 each, and Roy has been meaning to get there for 3 years. Supplies, maintenance, liability insurance, the fee to the strip mall landlord who owns the building and has a 10-year lease with Roy that has 4 years remaining at $2,200 a month. Roy is asking $43,000. You run the numbers 4 times. The 4th time you run them with the inefficient machines already replaced, the card readers already installed on the remaining cash-only units, and a modest 12% revenue increase based on what comparable facilities in similar zip codes have shown when both upgrades are made simultaneously. With those assumptions in place, the laundromat produces $38,000 a year in net cash flow on a $47,000 total investment, Roy's asking price plus $4,000 in immediate capital improvements. Your accountant, a composed woman named Helen who has an office above a dry cleaner, which you find privately perfect, reviews the model on a Thursday. She is quiet for a moment. She says the location is a one-way door. Once you're in because nobody else in the zip code is going to build a laundromat in the next 10 years. The market doesn't have the margin to justify new construction. The incumbents are the incumbents. You ask her what she thinks. She says it's boring. You say, I know. She says, I mean that as an endorsement. Sandra Briggs is the first person you talk to after signing the purchase agreement, not to introduce yourself as the new owner, to ask her to show you around. She is 46, 5'4", has a set of keys on a carabiner attached to her belt loop that includes, you eventually learn, keys to the laundromat, her car, her mother's house in Trotwood, and 2 locks whose purposes remain unspecified. She keeps a small laminated schedule above the dryer bank, showing which machines are reserved for commercial accounts on Tuesday and Thursday mornings, 2 apartment complexes in the neighborhood whose maintenance staff drop off common area linens on a contract Roy negotiated in 2014 and which Sandra renegotiated, independently, in 2018 for $200 more per month per account. You did not know about the renegotiation. It is not in the ledger. Sandra mentions it 2 days into your first week, while showing you the supply room, in the same tone she uses to describe everything, which is the tone of a woman who has been doing the actual work for 9 years and knows exactly what is hers. You ask her if she told Roy about the renegotiation. She says yes. You ask what Roy did with the information. She says he said good job and forgot about it by the following Monday. You tell her you're not going to forget about it. She looks at you the same way she looked at you the first day, that 4-second evaluation. Then she goes back to the supply room and starts reorganizing the detergent stock in a way that suggests the previous organization was not to her standards. You stand in the doorway for a moment. You think, she has been running this place. Roy was the name on the sign. You make a note. Sandra's salary gets a line item review before the end of the month. You are 8 days into ownership when the machine breaks. Not the third one from the left with the hesitation in the spin cycle, that one is still in the hesitation phase. A different one of the older front loaders, a Maytag commercial unit from 2008 with 75 cents wash cycles that 3 of Mrs. Alcott's neighbors specifically prefer. It stops mid-cycle on a Wednesday morning with a load inside and a family of 4 standing next to it who drove 15 minutes because the laundromat closer to them raised their prices. Sandra has the repair contact on her phone, has had it for 9 years. She calls before you've finished reading the error code off the machine's display panel. The tech is there in 2 hours. The repair costs $280. Sandra refunds the family's quarters out of the register and gives them 2 free wash tokens for next time out of a drawer where she keeps a small stack of them for exactly this kind of situation. You watch the whole thing, you don't touch any of it. Afterward, you tell her she handled it well. She says it's how you handle it. They'll be back next week. They are back the following Wednesday. The mother nods at Sandra on the way in. Sandra nods back. The transaction is complete. Here's what a laundromat is, said plainly. It is a machine that processes a human need that does not go away. People have dirty clothes. They will always have dirty clothes. They need a place to clean them. The need is not seasonal, not discretionary, not susceptible to the mood of the market. It recurs every week, reliably, in every demographic, in every economic climate. The laundromat is the infrastructure of that need, and infrastructure in the right location, properly maintained, with the right person running the floor, is as close to a guaranteed return as anything in the physical world offers. Roy built something real. He just stopped updating it. The card readers go in on week 3. New machines arrive in week 5. 2 of them, the efficient ones at $1,800 each, installed on a Saturday when Sandra is off and you do the installation yourself with a plumber named Jerome, who you found through the tech who fixed the Maytag. Jerome charges $140 for the afternoon and brings a 6-pack of Coke you split between the 2 of you while the machines run their first test cycle. You watch the cycle finish with the particular satisfaction of something working that wasn't working yesterday. Jerome says, "Nice machines." You say, "Yeah." He says, "You always do laundromats?" You say, "I do whatever's boring." He looks at you like he's not entirely sure if you're joking. You're not joking. 4 months in, revenue is tracking $164,000 annualized. Card reader adoption is at 68% of transactions and climbing. Sandra's salary has been revised to $36,000 with a quarterly performance review structure you designed with Helen's help, in which Sandra read carefully, asked 2 questions about the review criteria, confirmed both answers with a nod, and signed. Roy sends a postcard from Scottsdale. His back is better. Caroline is happy. He says he hopes Sandra is keeping you in line. You write back on a notepad and mail it from the post office on Wayne Avenue, which takes longer than emailing would but feels like the right format for a correspondence with Roy Dillard. You tell him Sandra is keeping everything in line. You tell him the 3rd machine from the left got its spin cycle looked at and it's fine for now. He sends another postcard 2 weeks later. Just, "Glad to hear it." You drive past the strip mall some mornings on the way to somewhere else. Not to stop, just to see the lights on inside, the machines running, the particular motion of the place doing its thing in the early morning before the day has fully committed to itself. A person through the window folding something, the yellow sign. The R is still slightly dimmer than the other letters. You keep meaning to fix that. You will fix it eventually, before the lease renews. There's time. You are 34. On paper, you're a project manager at a mid-sized development firm downtown who takes his lunch breaks quietly and drives a 4-year-old Civic and gives no particular outward evidence of anything. Your colleague in the office next to yours talks frequently about starting something someday. He has 3 books on entrepreneurship on his desk, spines uncracked. He says the timing needs to be right. You don't say anything. The timing was a parking space and a delinquency filing on a Wednesday night. The timing was a ledger and handwriting Roy's had since the 7th grade. The timing was a Bob Evans booth and a man with a bad back and a wife who was done with Ohio winters. The timing doesn't look like timing. It looks like Tuesday. You have 4 small, boring businesses and a foundation under your feet that took 6 years to pour. The foundation is not visible from the outside. It doesn't need to be visible. It needs to hold. It holds. Every morning you drive past the sign and the machines are running. That's the whole report. That's everything.